Hey, today I'm talking about the first 3 Resident Evil films. Ooh! And don't worry, I will be talking about all 11 currently released Resident Evil films. It just takes time because there's a lot of movies. So today I'm talking about Resident Evil, Resident Evil Apocalypse, and Resident Evil Extinction. First up is Resident Evil. This is a 2002 film written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and starring Milla Jovovich. And the basic premise is not the premise of the video game, but basically one day this woman wakes up in the shower, has no memory, but then gets whisked away into a mystery about a bunch of zombies. And it's really, really good. They nailed so many things. The aesthetic is great, that's for sure. Milla does a great job of carrying the film. The supporting characters are also really, really interesting. I loved Michelle Rodriguez in this. She was great. Thomas Jane's also in this and he was solid. They did a wonderful job with the mystery of the horror of it. It's clear they also kind of had a smaller budget, but I think they made very good use of it. They didn't always show the most graphic part of the kill, but they were really good about still making it feel like you're seeing all the graphic stuff. So for instance, the kill that's in the elevator, I won't say what happens if you haven't seen it, but that's a scene where we don't see stuff happen, but they did a good job with the tension and the sound effects that I got the exact same squirm that I would have gotten had we actually seen the thing happen. So good job, movie. And there's so many really incredibly great kills. There's the one hallway one that they recreate in other movies, but it's wonderfully done here. I don't know, I just everything about it works really well. It's scary, it's interesting, the story works really well, the characters work really well. There are a couple dumb, silly things, but it's just so easy to look past it because everything else about it just clicks. It's just a really solid little horror film. I do not understand why it got ravaged by critics, but that's neither here nor there. So if you've never seen it before or it's been a while, definitely recommend it. It's a good, fun, scary, interesting experience. Next up is Resident Evil Apocalypse. This is a 2004 film. It is a direct sequel to the last one. Basically, zombies got out and things went to hell. Now, this was still produced and written by Paul W.S. Anderson, but he didn't direct it. I liked this film, but I have a lot of issues with it. It really felt like a notable step down. But I will start with a bunch of the positives. Alice, our lead character, was great again. I thought they expanded upon her in a really interesting way. I loved her new outfit. Her outfits are always great. Her kills are really, really good. Jill Valentine was a really fun introduction. I liked that whole dynamic with that whole group of people. The choice to kind of focus on those guys instead of Alice for a while was a really, really great one. This one's definitely more action heavy rather than story heavy, which isn't great, but the action is solid. It's very of its time, so lots of quick cuts, but I still think it's fun and interesting. And the creature effects are still really good. But like I said, I have a number of complaints. It's a really messy film. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of stuff that you can cut out to make it a much more tighter, coherent film. So the movie opens up on Alice recapping what happened in the last movie. We don't need that. And then it goes to the last scene of the last movie. We don't need to see that again. There's also a scene with Alice getting some stuff from a gun store. We don't need that scene either. Really, what this film should have done is just start by focusing on Jill and the other tertiary characters and just have the story be about them in the immediate response to a zombie outbreak, which is essentially what they did, but a bit more focused. Get rid of Jill seeing about the apocalypse on the news because her outfit, though directly from the video game, makes no sense in context of what she was doing because she saw in the news that the zombie apocalypse was happening, and so she prepared herself by putting on a tube top and a mini skirt and then went to the police station to shoot up a bunch of zombies. No sense. She's supposed to be a very smart character, and she is most of the time, but by not dressing appropriately, you remove a good chunk of her intelligence. If you want to keep her in her iconic video game costume, just do what they did in the video game, which is have the zombies attack her while she's in her apartment just chilling. It's brilliant. You can have her whatever sexy outfit you want to have in because she's just chilling at home. Perfect, brilliant. Why didn't you do that? All you have to do to fix it as is, though, is just to cut out the scene of her in her apartment now. It's just kind of like, oh, she's just at the police station doing stuff. Cool, that just works well enough. But like I said, you're also removing all this other stuff with Alice. So the first time we see Alice is at the church when she comes flying in on a motorcycle, and it's way ridiculous. But that works really well because as new audience who didn't see the first one, they're like, who's this crazy bitch coming in here on a motorcycle? And for fans of the first one, they're like, yeah, Alice is finally here. Things are about to go crazy. It's great. I mean, you could add to it a little too by like, we don't see Alice, but we see the motorcycle stopping, and then we see like the hand revving, and then like the wheels spinning, and then like her hitting a ramp to also help explain how the hell she jumped into this church through a window. And then you could quickly throw in a line too of, why did you do this? And her being like, oh, I saw the tongue guys coming in, and I thought some people needed saving or something like that, because she doesn't explain why she did anything, which is just adds to the stupidness. As is, I liked it. It was fine, but if I'm being honest, you could totally skip this film. Having watched the first three, you don't really need anything from this. It doesn't really advance the overall story a ton. So yeah, I liked it. It was good, but I could leave it or take it. And lastly is Resident Evil Extinction. This is a 2007 film, and the basic premise is it has been 5 years since the zombie apocalypse, and things have gone very bad. The virus kind of also destroys nature and water, so the whole world's just in rough shape. So we got Alice out in the desert in a really cool outfit. Look at that outfit, so badass. Just kind of doing her thing as she's changing as a person, put it that way. And then we also have the story of Claire, who is a video game character, leading a group of survivors in a caravan. I think that's a really good idea, really interesting idea. I definitely think this movie is a step up from the last one. It definitely looks better. It looks like it has a better budget. The practical effects are really, really good. I did roll my eyes a bit at the intro scene, but it's fine. I understand what they were going for. I think the story was very interesting, and they took it in a very logical way. The bad guys were interesting too, because like they were technically doing good things. They were just going about it in a very morally not good way. But when you're facing extinction, I can understand a bit. I really like Claire a lot in this, though she needed a bit more depth, just more story, because she's just like this tiny young woman who is somehow in charge of this caravan of people. Like all of these people entrusted this tiny little woman with their lives, and they don't tell us why. And like we don't need her entire backstory and everything explained about her, but we need some things explained about her. Why do they trust her? Apparently the original story was for her to be searching for her brother, which is from the video games, but they cut it for some reason, and I'm like, oh, that would have gave her so much agency rather than just leader of this caravan. So yeah, my other complaint was that the crows, the murder of crows, did not look good. My brother Kyle's argument was that it probably looked good for the time of, but I disagree. I don't think that they looked good for the time of. They just really did not look good to me. Other than those couple things though, it's a good story, good kills again. Isn't as scary as the first one, but like still fun and interesting. Great kills, very bloody, loved that. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one and would totally recommend it. If you like the first one, for sure give this one a watch. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Resident Evil sitting at number 30 in the really like section. And then next chronologically is Resident Evil Apocalypse, sitting exactly 100 movies down at number 130. And then the last of this trilogy is Resident Evil Extinction, sitting up above that in number 107 in the quite like section. And this is a total of 195 old movies so far this year. But as a quick aside, I'm borrowing the 4K Blu-ray box set from my brother, who is a much bigger fan of Resident Evil than I am. And so I asked him for his rankings as well. So doing just these first three movies, I put them as 1, 3, 2, but Justin put them as 2, 1, 3. He put 2 as his favorite of the first trilogy. I'll continue to update this as we go on, but yes, his favorite was 2, which is so interesting to me. But it's what it is. He's a bigger fan too, so it says something.